nearer than. Often the goal is nearer than it seems to a faint. Friends, the year was 2007 when I was living in the UK, and I had the privilege of studying NLP, Neuro-Linguistic Programming, the effect of language on our mind and how we think. I was introduced to the fascinating world of storytelling, metaphors, voice modulation, etc. And what I still remember from this training that I took 13 years ago is this: words, poetry, music, drama, all these things can significantly alter a person's state of mind. They can significantly either positively or negatively impact your state of mind. And this poem that I'm about to share with you today, attributed to Edgar Albert Guest and John Greenleaf Whittier, has always given me the strength to persevere for my long-term goals, has always lifted my emotions up. And in the middle of some of the very uncertain and chaotic times of my life, it's given me this very simple message: rest if you have to, but don't you quit. Rest if you have to, but don't you quit. When things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when things go wrong, as they sometimes will, when the road you're trudging seems all uphill, when the funds are low and the debts are high, and you want to smile, but you have to sigh, when care is pressing you down a bit, when care is pressing you down a bit, rest if you must, but don't you quit. Rest if you must, but don't you quit. Life is queer with its twists and turns. Life is queer with its twists and turns, as every one of us sometimes learns. And many a failure turns about. And many a failure turns about when he might have won had he stuck it out. Don't give up though the pace seems slow. Don't give up though the pace seems slow. You may succeed with another blow. Don't give up though the pace seems slow. You may succeed with another blow. Often the goal is nearer than. Often the goal is nearer than it seems to a faint and faltering man. Often the struggler has given up. Often the struggler has given up when he might have captured the victor's cup. And he learned too late when the night slipped down. And he learned too late when the night slipped down how close he was to the golden crown. And he learned too late when the night slipped down how close he was to the golden crown. Success is failure turned inside out. Success is failure turned inside out, the silver tint of the clouds of doubt. And you can never tell how close you are. It may be near when it seems afar. And you can never tell how close you are. It may be near when it seems afar. So stick to the fight when you're hardest hit. So stick to the fight when you're hardest hit. It's when things go wrong that you must not quit. So stick to the fight when you're hardest hit. It's when things go wrong that you must not quit. Friends, this poem gives me goosebumps every time I recite it. And it fills my heart with hope and
You guys have probably heard about a man that the world just discovered, but he's been putting in work since before some of you all were even born. His name is Vozina, and he's not a newcomer, but he just finally got his moment. On June 15th, Cape Verdean goalkeeper Vozina recorded 7 saves, holding Spain to a shocking 0-0 draw in Cape Verde's first ever World Cup match. Spain took 27 shots, 7 of them were on goal. Vozina stopped every single one. At 40 years old, he became the oldest goalkeeper in World Cup history to keep a clean sheet on debut. And just like that, his Instagram following climbed from about 50,000 to over 5 million in a single day. The internet called it an overnight success. But let's talk about what that overnight success actually looked like. You see, Vozina was born in Mindelo.
Good morning, all.
Cape Verde, and he was raised by his grandparents.
Good morning, good morning, good morning.
Good morning, CJ. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good
Morning. Good morning.
morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning to everyone.
What I'm talking about. So this morning, I think we're gonna just go in a different direction this morning. I believe that we need to take a moment to talk about persistence, resilience, and so we just do it. Don't quit. So yes, it's Atomy, and it's all that Atomy brings to the conversation: the absolute products, the absolute price, a network marketing company. But I'm just going to follow my instinct this morning, and we're going to take a minute and delve into persistence. Yes, the chairman of the company, he continues to display commitment and resolve into bringing the company and its products to the world. And he displays resilience, commitment, tenacity. And for those of us who are not aware, I know there are those of us who are aware. For those of us who are not aware, this is World Cup fever. And some amazing things and amazing stories have been evolving during this World Cup season. Great stories. The simple becoming the magnificent, the ordinary becoming the extraordinary. So allow me to bring to the front this morning a moment where we talk about don't quit. A conversation that takes us to the question of commitment, persistence, resilience. So this morning, we're going to do sports, and in particular, football. We are just going to take a minute and explore what it is to be about staying in the game, staying in the fight. A couple of months ago, I featured Usain Bolt, and we discovered that morning that the Usain Bolt who we celebrate, excuse me, is a gentleman that the physiotherapist described as the physiotherapist's nightmare. Why? Because one leg is actually shorter than the other, and that he runs with a twisted spine. And every time he runs, he's in pain. Did you know that, Victor?
Yes.
Did you know that?
Yeah, I did. You told me the story. Yeah, I did.
And ever since I came to that realization, it has changed my whole concept of what it is to be a winner, to be successful, to strive for excellence. All this time, I had no idea that this outstanding performance was overshadowed by a lot of pain. Getting up at 4 in the mornings and doing that running and And sand training, all that he did was while he was enduring pain. So this morning, and I hope we will be able to just have a little conversation, if that's possible. Don't quit. And so we'll feature. I tell you what, let me not give it away. Let me roll the tape.
While his father served in the military and his mother worked to keep the family going. He didn't even turn professional until he was 25 years old. That's the same year that Spain's Lamine Yamal was born. From there, he spent 15 years chasing his sport across the world. He went from Angola to Moldova, Portugal, Cyprus, Slovakia. He chased contract after contract without any guarantee that it would even lead to a World Cup. He won one trophy in that entire journey, the Cypriot Cup in 2019. And his nickname, Vozina, is Portuguese for grandmother. His teammates gave it to him as a way to bully him on the football field. But he took that name and he made it his own, and he wore it all the way to the World Cup. When that final whistle blew in Atlanta, he broke down on the pitch because he was thinking about his grandparents who had raised him, and they couldn't be there. He thought about his mother who couldn't celebrate that moment with him. And then he said, I'm 40 now, but I wasn't a professional until I was 25. This is a reward for all this journey because it was all worth it. 15 years, 5 countries, 9 clubs, 1 night in Atlanta, and the whole world finally caught up. So if you're grinding and it feels like nobody is watching, just keep going, because the spotlight doesn't create greatness. It just reveals what was already there. And if you didn't know, now you know. You guys have probably heard about a man that the world just discovered, but he's been put.
Creating a website can be complex. Choose Hostinger, a simpler place to host your WordPress site.
Paradox at the heart of his greatest triumph. Recognition had finally arrived, but it arrived too late. Nickname that had once followed a frustrated little boy home through the dusty streets of Mindelo. The whole football world was finally speaking that name. Yet the 2 people who had given it meaning were no longer alive to hear it. That was the cruel paradox at the heart of his greatest triumph. Recognition had finally arrived, but it arrived too late for the people he wanted most to share it with. For 90 minutes, Vozinha had held Spain scoreless. In the quiet seconds after the final whistle, he was confronting something far more difficult: the absence of the 2 voices he wished could have been there to call his name.
Good morning, all. Good morning.
Morning again, CJ. Good morning.
Okay, so I'm kind of trying to see if I can do something of a vote here. I am gone deep halfway into this. His name is Vozino, 40 years old, perhaps the greatest goalkeeper ever. But in the interest of time, I have cut out a huge segment. Do I start at the beginning or do I continue from the middle? I need a vote.
Beginning.
Beginning 1,
Middle.
middle 2. Yeah, so even I need to know, do I go to the beginning? Do I go continue from the middle? Some responses. Unmute.
Continue.
Middle. Middle.
That's middle. Okay. Middle is has 1. Okay, continue.
One last time. Sometimes, the deepest, most profound comfort a human being can experience arrives only after they have survived the moment of their greatest loneliness. 6 days after raw emotion completely overcame Vozinha on the pitch in Atlanta, the Cape Verde national team traveled to the sweltering heat of Florida for their second World Cup match. Miami Stadium was wrapped in punishing, suffocating humidity. This time, the opponent was Uruguay, a ferocious South American nation carrying generations of legendary World Cup history. Yet long before the players even lined up in the tunnel, one specific, quiet detail had already fundamentally changed the emotional meaning of the day for Cape Verde's 40-year-old goalkeeper. Somewhere out there, hidden among the thousands of screaming supporters in the vibrant stands, was his mother, Ana Candida Evora. She had not been able to reach Atlanta in time. The heavy complications of securing a visa and the sheer financial cost of arranging the intercontinental journey had forced her to watch her son's historic performance against Spain from a small screen back in Cape Verde. Before that first match, she had proudly predicted that Spain would not score against her boy. Now, she had crossed the vast Atlantic Ocean and was finally present. In a direct, beautiful contrast to the heavy grief of Atlanta, Miami was defined by her presence. When Vozinha looked up toward the towering stands, he was no longer staring into a void of absence. Cape Verde soon gave her an incredible reason to believe. In the 21st minute, Kevin Pena stepped over a free kick and struck the ball with terrifying force from nearly 34 yards out, smashing it into the net. It was the first World Cup goal in the entire history of Cape Verde. In the stands, Ana was finally there to witness the pure celebration that had been denied to her 6 days earlier. Uruguay, true to their ruthless nature, responded fiercely before halftime, scoring twice to take the lead. But Cape Verde refused to surrender. In the second half, Elio Varela capitalized on a mistake to equalize, making it 2-2. The closing minutes demanded absolute perfection. When the final whistle confirmed the draw, Cape Verde had earned its second historic point. Vozinha waved up toward the crowd, his chest heaving with exhaustion. His grandparents were still absent, and absolutely no reunion on earth could ever change the permanence of that loss. But this night felt remarkably different. His mother had crossed the ocean to see the man her son had become. It offered a deeply human, profoundly simple gift: the chance to witness her son living out the dream that had survived decades of doubt. On that humid night in Miami, Vozinha was no longer fighting alone in the dark.
What if you could trade on this? This is Kalshi, a regulated exchange where you trade on real-world.
Vozinha was no longer fighting alone in the dark. Time is the only universally undefeated opponent in the history of professional sports. It does not negotiate with passion, it does not care about your dreams, and it eventually, systematically strips every great athlete of their physical prime. When you are a young goalkeeper, your body feels like it is made of pure elastic and defiance. You can launch yourself into the air, crash heavily onto the dirt, and bounce right back to your feet. But at 40 years old, the physical reality of playing at the highest level of human competition becomes a completely different, punishing existence. The recovery process slows down to an agonizing crawl. Every single time Vozinha explodes off his line to make a diving save, the impact reverberates deeply through his aging joints. The contrast was made brutally, unmistakably clear during Cape Verde's opening match. Vozinha had celebrated his 40th birthday just 12 days before the tournament began. Standing on the opposite side of the pitch was Spain's sensational winger Lamine Yamal, an 18-year-old prodigy who was born more than 21 full years after the Cape Verdean goalkeeper. Yamal was a walking reminder of just how agonizingly long Vozinha's road to the World Cup had been. Vozinha had already begun his senior club career in 2007, a time when several members of Spain's new elite generation were still toddlers learning how to walk. But Vozinha did not step onto the pitch trying to magically defeat time. He survived because he had learned exactly how to negotiate with it. He understood that while his explosive, fast-twitch muscle fibers might decline with age, his mind had only grown sharper. A younger goalkeeper might rely purely on raw, athletic reaction speed to save a shot. Vozinha compensated by reading the subtle, shifting body language of a striker a fraction of a second earlier. He positioned himself with absolute mathematical precision, drastically reducing the amount of wasted movement required to make a save. His experience allowed him to see the geometric angles of the attack developing long before the ball was even struck. He does not play without pain. He simply accepts the pain as the necessary entry fee to stay inside the arena. The physical toll is the tax he pays to keep his nation's dream alive. When he stretched his body to tip Oyarzabal's header over the crossbar, it was the culmination of thousands of hours of repetitive muscle memory, forged in the shadows of Angola, Cyprus, and Slovakia. Time had undoubtedly reached him. It had shaped him, and it had heavily taxed his physical vessel. But beneath the bright lights of the World Cup, time had not yet managed to take away his ultimate weapon, a mind so deeply conditioned by survival that his aging body had no choice but to follow its command. When the world finally decides to see you, the recognition can arrive with the terrifying force of a tidal wave. Before Vozinha stepped onto the pristine grass to face Spain, he was a deeply respected veteran within the borders of his own country, but he remained largely invisible to the vast, global football community. He began the match with fewer than 50,000 followers on Instagram, but in the modern, hyper-connected era of sports, a single heroic performance against a European giant can alter reality overnight. Within hours of his emotional post-match interview traveling across the internet, his phone began to melt with notifications. In a matter of days, nearly 15 million people were following him. The 40-year-old goalkeeper, who had spent decades grinding away in total obscurity, suddenly became a massive viral phenomenon. The paradox of this late fame is staggering. It took him decades of breaking his body, moving from country to country, and fighting through the agonizing uncertainty of local leagues just to be seen. And then, it took only one single night for the entire planet to know his name. Yet the true measure of the man was revealed not in how he celebrated his newfound celebrity, but in how he quietly deflected it. As cameras swarmed the Cape Verdean media sessions and crowds of eager fans gathered near their modest training facility in Tampa, hoping for a glimpse of the viral sensation, Vozinha remained remarkably grounded. When eager reporters thrust microphones into his face, desperately asking about his exploding social media numbers and his sudden global fame, his response was polite but unyielding. "I'm very grateful for everything," he told them calmly. "But please, let's talk about football." He refused to let his personal story overshadow the collective mission of his team. That simple, disciplined request proved that the fame had not corrupted him. Millions of people now knew his name, yet the stark, unromantic reality of his daily existence remained unchanged. His next club contract had still not been announced. He was an incredibly famous man who was still officially a free agent. But the paralyzing anxiety that usually accompanies the life of an unemployed player had completely evaporated. He was at peace. He had faced the reigning champions of Europe and the ruthless giants of South America, and he had proven his ultimate worth on the grandest stage imaginable. He no longer needed a European sporting director to validate his existence. He had learned how to breathe perfectly in the eye of the storm. He no longer needed a European sporting director to validate his existence. He had learned how to breathe perfectly in the eye of the storm. As he prepared his aging body for the final, crucial group stage match against Saudi Arabia, he was not fighting for fame or even for a paycheck. He was simply a master craftsman, ready to step back onto the pitch, because standing between the posts is the purest, most authentic expression of his soul. When we try to measure the ultimate meaning of a sporting life, the world is conditioned to look for shiny, tangible hardware. We look for record-breaking contracts and multi-million-dollar broadcasting rights. But true, undeniable immortality in sports rarely shines that brightly. Sometimes, it looks exactly like a pair of battered, heavy goalkeeper gloves, worn by a 40-year-old man who waited almost his entire life just to step out of the shadows. Vozinha's journey is not the familiar, neatly packaged story of an internationally celebrated young prodigy who was destined for greatness from the day he was born. It is the story of a working-class gladiator who built his legacy entirely in the dark. Recognition finally arrived in one single night, but the quiet, unbreakable strength required to handle that moment had taken 40 years of suffering, waiting, and bleeding to build. His legendary performance at the World Cup did not magically erase the long, agonizing years of obscurity, the lonely hotel rooms in Moldova, or the terrifying uncertainty of being a 25-year-old wondering if his dream was already dead. Instead, it gave every single one of those painful memories a profound, undeniable meaning. Look closely at the veteran standing between the goalposts. The lines etched into his face, and the permanent wear on his joints are not the tragic marks of a victim. They are the supreme medals of his survival. He took the profound, agonizing grief of his absent grandparents, the very people who gave him the nickname, "The World Now Screams," and he weaponized it into an impenetrable defensive wall. The most beautiful part of his story is that it remains unresolved. The next club chapter is still an unwritten blank page. The global circus of the tournament will eventually pack up and leave town, but the fear of the unknown is permanently gone. You cannot threaten a man with obscurity when he has already conquered the abyss. He leaves the pitch not as a broken, exhausted athlete begging for a contract, but as a towering monument to human endurance. He proved that greatness is never simply handed to you. It is a heavy toll you pay in silence, trusting that the dawn will eventually break. As I watch him wipe the sweat from his brow, surveying the massive stadium that finally learned his name, I realize we are witnessing a quiet masterclass in how to survive the brutal, beautiful game of life. If Vozinha's journey reminded you that some dreams are truly worth carrying for a lifetime,
Good morning again. Yes, I get it. Not everyone is interested in football. For all I care, it could just be a boring game. Who cares? But the reason I bring this sport to the stage this morning, and in particular, excuse me, Vazino, it's because of the story behind it all. All these years, 40 years, grinding away, it's just not happening. And all of a sudden, in one night, with 7 saves, everything changes. Yes. Don't quit. I know that there are those of us on the call this morning who need to hear that message. Yes. Can you imagine the days and the nights alone, country to country, from clubs to clubs? He is living his dream. He's doing it, but nothing to show for it. 20, 22, 25, 27, 30. Oh God, must I go on like this? When? When will it happen? And one night, it happens. So, don't quit. Just do it. And do it. And do it. Welcome to Momentum Mornings. And if you are a guest here, you are new on the call this morning, the company is called Atomy. The number one standalone product is called Hemohim. We'll take a minute, talk about the company. We will talk about that product, and we will get into our discussion. We'll have a conversation. Do not quit. Whatever you do, rest if you must, but do not quit.
There's a company that has made the seemingly impossible become reality. Starting from a small country to USA, Canada, Japan, Southeast Asia, and now South America. A global company with 4 million active members across 11 countries, growing beyond its home market and quickly gaining notice across the world. A company that received the $50 million Export Award in 2017. With extraordinary growth since its foundation in 2009. Global sales reached about $1 billion in 2017 and continues to show steady growth. Going beyond customer satisfaction, fulfilling customer success. We are Atomy. Beginning with health and beauty products, Atomy's various products include food, living, fashion, and home products. Figures released by the Korea Fair Trade Commission show that Hemohim was top in the industry in sales volume for 3 straight years. While the Skincare 6 system was the best-selling cosmetic product. The new Absolute Skincare set released in 2017 was chosen by many consumers and is becoming a revolutionary skincare product. These figures indicate how much Atomy products are satisfying consumers around the world. However, Atomy's true value lies in the company's inner side. Atomy uses its Mastige strategy, providing benefits to consumers with absolute quality at absolute prices, while also increasing quality of life for our members. Atomy supports cooperative companies so they can do their best to maintain the best quality, so customers can get top quality products at affordable prices, creating a culture that benefits the growth of all parties involved. Third, culture of sharing. The company is a part of a society, and Atomy is pushing to become a role model in creating a better society by promoting the culture of sharing and communication between company and society. To live, to love, to learn, and to share. We hope Atomy can become the life partner that leads to your success. Cherishing the spirit. We are proud Atomy.
The first product that I want to spend just a little time on, because I know each and every one of you are consuming this wonderful product. The only thing that I want to point out about this Hemohim is how it was originated. It was not originated for the general populace, that is us. It was originated for a selected few. And the selected few are world-renowned scientists all over the world. Now, this company, Kerry, they are also in the Republic of South Korea, and I encourage each and every one of you to do your own due diligence and your own research to make sure that I am telling you the truth. This company, Kerry, they produce gamma rays, infrared rays. If a human body is too much exposed to those rays, your cells start to mutate, you get sick, so on and so forth. So this product, Hemohim, came about to protect a few worldly scientists from overexposure to radioactivity. That's it. Now I'm going to discuss what it does when you swallow it. And in the beginning, I'm not going to lie, yes, I am of Asian descent, but this was very, very hard for me to ingest right away. A lot of Hemohim wasted. But now, many years later, I cannot live without this product. And if you see our home, it is covered with Atomy products. And all of our family members, if you see them, they're eating something within the Atomy line. So when this Hemohim product gets into your body, it does a lot of different things. I don't have medical background, but I know what it does. First, we have something called natural killer cells in our body. And this has everything and anything to do with your immune system. Your immune system is hierarchical. Okay, you have different levels. If the first level is damaged, which is your natural killer cells, then your body cannot fight deadly pathogens that come your way. We have seasonal change right now. We have allergies. We have people that are sniffling, sneezing, those things. If your immune system is strong, you will be able to fight those viruses that come your way that's airborne. But if your immune system is weak, and we're aging, and immunity has everything to do with the aging process as well, then you cannot fight that. This is why you need to take this. If you don't know why you're taking it, just continue to take it. If you do know why you're taking it, obviously you have to take it all the time. This is for sick people, well-balanced people, athletes, whatever you are. It doesn't matter as long as you are of some sort of human nature. What this product also does is it builds your red and white blood cells, and it oxygenates your blood. So if you think about it, we as human beings, we can live without certain organs. I'm sure you'll agree with that. But blood and oxygen being stripped from your body, you will become a corpse. That's how I look at it. So that is why this product is actually a godsend, if you think about it.
Very well. Very well. I just want to feature another video. I call it Against All Odds. Again, there are many of us on the call that might not care much about football. But if you don't care about football and the rise to fame, glory for Benzino, for his outstanding performance, consider this. Just for a minute, just consider where he came from. Even the country that he's from is quite interesting. It doesn't even have 1 million people for its population. Under 1 million people. So you see, it's not about size. It's about resilience, persistence. And so I must bring this to the front of the room this morning. I title it Against All Odds. And then when we are done with that, we'll take a minute and look at the life of our chairman, Mr. Hangil Park, because on full display each and every day is persistence, determination, relentless getting after it from day to day to day. A gentleman who was on his back in the hospital, he was about to die. Someone introduced him to Hemohim. And because of Hemohim, we have a company called Atomy. Les Brown says, when life knocks you down, try to land on your back. Because if you can look up, you can get up. So I'm just here this morning to encourage those of us who might be just going through that moment. It's tough. And it's not the easiest time right now for some of us, but don't quit. Don't quit. Against all odds. Watch this. It's not even just about the goalkeeper. It's on full display. A country no one knows about, and now it has taken the world by storm, center stage.
Right now, at the 2026 World Cup, the biggest story isn't Messi. It isn't Mbappe. It isn't France or Brazil or Spain. It's a team of 10 tiny islands you probably couldn't find on a map, Cape Verde, drawn into a so-called group of death with Spain, Uruguay, and Saudi Arabia, a group every expert wrote them off in before a ball was even kicked. They did the unthinkable. They held mighty Spain to a draw, their defense so disciplined it set a World Cup record for the fewest fouls in a single match. Then they ran it back against Uruguay, not by parking the bus, but by playing fearless, primetime attacking football, and won. 3 games, unbeaten, through to the knockout rounds. And now they're about to walk out and face the reigning world champions themselves, the smallest nation in this entire tournament, beating giants, terrifying everyone, and the whole planet is suddenly scrambling to figure out the same question. Who on earth are these guys, and how is this happening? Here's the part that should genuinely stun you. This isn't a fairy tale, this isn't luck. What you're watching is the result of a 12-year revenge mission. A slow, obsessive, almost unbelievable plan that involved scouring the entire planet for hidden talent, signing players nobody else wanted, and even recruiting a footballer through a message on LinkedIn. I'm not joking. One of the players starring for Cape Verde at this World Cup was found on LinkedIn. Another used to deliver mail. Their 40-year-old goalkeeper came out of retirement to be here. This is a team built out of misfits, rejects, and players other nations refuse to look at twice. And right now, they're better than countries 100 times their size. But to understand how, you need to know one thing first. Cape Verde was never supposed to exist as a football nation at all. These are 10 small volcanic islands in the middle of the Atlantic, a former Portuguese colony so harsh and so poor that for generations the people had no choice but to leave. They scattered across the world, to Portugal, France, the Netherlands, America, chasing a life the islands couldn't offer. And that one painful fact, a whole nation forced to flee its own home, is exactly what would one day become their secret weapon. Because while the islands themselves held barely 500,000 people, there were twice as many Cape Verdeans spread across the globe. An entire hidden nation of talent scattered everywhere, just waiting for someone to come looking. For decades, nobody did. When Cape Verde finally joined FIFA, they were ranked 182nd in the world. A footballing afterthought, nobody's idea of a threat. And then one man decided to change everything. A former captain who had held this broken team together through years of nothing. No money, no kits, no hope. And who refused to accept that his country was destined to be forgotten. His name was Bubista. And he was about to start a revolution that would end with Cape Verde terrorizing the World Cup. To understand Bubista, you have to understand what he survived. For 16 straight years, he was the one player holding Cape Verde's national team together. Through an era so broke that, in his own words, they didn't even have proper kits to wear. No money, no facilities, a team ranked among the worst on the planet. Most players would have walked away. Bubista stayed, and even when he finally retired, he couldn't let go. He joined the coaching staff almost immediately, and that's when the revolution began. The plan was simple, but nobody had ever fully committed to it before. Remember that hidden nation of Cape Verdeans scattered across the world? Bubista and the Federation decided to go and find them. All of them. Every player, anywhere on Earth, with even a drop of Cape Verdean blood, was now a target, and the bloodlines were staggering. Nani, Nuno Mendes, Patrick Vieira, Henrik Larsson, even Cristiano Ronaldo, through his great-grandmother, all of them technically eligible to play for Cape Verde. The talent was out there. It always had been. The only problem was convincing them to choose a tiny island nation with a national stadium that held just 8,000 people and a pitch made of artificial turf. It wasn't easy, but they only needed to get the ball rolling, and slowly it started to work. In 2010, with 5 players in their starting 11 who had actually been raised in Portugal, Cape Verde held a full-strength Portugal, Ronaldo and all, to a draw. Proof. Living proof that the plan had legs. And then they hit the jackpot. They began producing real players of their own. A Cape Verdean-born winger so quick that when a famous super scout first went to watch him play, he accidentally discovered a future Premier League star sitting next to him instead. They qualified for their first ever major tournament, and on the biggest night in their history, their first-choice goalkeeper got injured, forcing them to throw a complete rookie into the deep end. That rookie was a young keeper named Vozinha. Remember that name, because 17 years later, that same man would be standing in goal at a World Cup, in the form of his life, breaking the hearts of nations 100 times Cape Verde's size. They won that night, and in their very first tournament, they stunned everyone by reaching the quarterfinals. The footballing world started for the first time to notice these islands in the Atlantic, and then FIFA arrived to tear it all down. This is the part that should make your blood boil. Years later, Cape Verde beat Tunisia on the final match day to seal a place in the World Cup playoffs, the greatest footballing achievement in their entire history. They had done it, or so they thought, because here's what happened. A few months earlier, An opponent had been forced to forfeit a match to Cape Verde for fielding an ineligible player. In that same match, one of Cape Verde's defenders had been sent off and handed a ban. Cape Verde's logic was simple. If the match itself was declared void, then the red card from that void match should be wiped too. So they played him. And FIFA, after the fact, declared that decision void as well, stripping Cape Verde of their result and sending Tunisia to the playoffs in their place. Read that again. Cape Verde had earned it on the pitch, and it was taken away on a technicality. Out of nowhere, they found themselves ranked 27th in the entire world, and yet not in the World Cup, inches away, crushed at the very last moment by the people who were supposed to be running the game fairly. Most nations would have crumbled. Most projects would have died right there. But Cape Verde did the opposite. Instead of cowering, they got angry, and they got obsessive. If FIFA wanted to send their whole project crashing down, fine. They would spend the next decade building something so undeniable that no technicality, no committee, no excuse could ever stop them again. The scouting operation went into overdrive. The search for hidden Cape Verdeans became relentless, almost desperate, and that desperation produced some of the most absurd stories in modern football. They found a player born and raised in the Netherlands, grinding away in the second division. They found another playing amateur football in the 5th tier of France at 24 years old, and somehow snapped him up right before he exploded into a Premier League move. But the most unbelievable of all is the one you've probably heard whispered about. During yet another late-night search for anyone with the slightest Cape Verdean heritage, a Cape Verde manager found the LinkedIn profile of a defender playing in Ireland, and simply sent him a message, asking if he'd like to play for his country. There was just one problem. The player, born and raised in Dublin, didn't speak a word of Portuguese. So when he finally saw the strange message in his inbox, he assumed it was spam, and ignored it completely. It was only 9 months later, after the manager refused to give up, that he finally copied the message into Google Translate and realized a national team had been trying to recruit him this whole time. Without that persistence, he'd never have played for Cape Verde at all. Today, he's part of their squad. This was the madness it took. A team assembled from LinkedIn messages, 5th division unknowns, and players scattered across dozens of countries who had to be tracked down, convinced, and stitched together into something resembling a national side. But Bubista knew that talent alone wasn't enough. A team built from 25 strangers, born in different countries, speaking different languages, raised in different cultures. How do you turn that into a family? How do you make a defender from Dublin and a striker from Rotterdam bleed for the same flag? He had an answer. And it was a rule unlike anything else in international football. Bubista's rule was this: from now on, Creole, the native language of Cape Verde, was the only language allowed in the squad. If you didn't speak it, you learned it. No exceptions. A defender raised in Dublin, a striker raised in Rotterdam, a fullback raised in France, all of them, forced to speak the language of a country some of them had barely set foot in. It sounds small. It was everything. Because that one rule did what no tactic ever could. It made a group of strangers from a dozen different nations remember exactly what they were playing for. It turned a scattered collection of misfits into something that actually felt like a family. And Bubista said it himself. Our strength comes from the way we treat each other like family. What is a family, if not one generation guiding the next? And once that bond was in place, the talent finally started saying yes. This is where Cape Verde's golden generation was born. Bubista convinced players who had spent their whole careers chasing bigger nations to finally come home. A winger who had repeatedly turned Cape Verde down, holding out hope for a Portugal call that was never coming. A defender who was about to complete an €18 million move to a top Spanish club, the most expensive Cape Verdean player of all time. Former French youth internationals. Players from the top leagues in the world suddenly choosing the islands their families had fled generations ago. And one story stands out above them all. A midfielder named Deroy Duarte, who only started playing football in the first place because his older brother had been scouted into an academy. The younger brother turned out to be the bigger talent, but instead of leaving his brother behind, he pulled him forward. When Cape Verde called him up, he said something that tells you everything about this team's soul. He could not imagine playing in a tournament without his brother beside him. And against all odds, at the very last minute, his brother got his first ever call-up too. 2 brothers, 1 flag. The family wasn't just a philosophy anymore. It was real. By now, Cape Verde had 25 players, born in 6 different countries, playing across 16 different leagues, and they had finally reached their final form. They announced themselves by going undefeated in a group with Ghana and Egypt, reaching the quarterfinals of the Africa Cup of Nations. But there, the heartbreak that always seemed to follow them struck again. Against South Africa, they took 25 shots and somehow couldn't score. It went to penalties. Vozinha saved one, but on the other end, South Africa's keeper saved not two, not three, but four. Four penalties. The cruelty of it broke something in the team. Two of their veterans, including Vozinha himself, walked away, convinced their time was over. It was a mistake. Because without them, Cape Verde fell apart completely. They didn't just struggle, they finished dead last in their qualifying group. 1 win in 6 games. The whole project suddenly looked like it was crumbling. And so they did the only thing this team has ever known how to do in a crisis. They refused to die. Several players personally went and convinced their 40-year-old goalkeeper Vozinha to come out of retirement. They added more hidden gems, a Dutch-born player who had gone from the German 5th tier to being signed by Jose Mourinho in just 3 years. And just like that, 6 games into World Cup qualifying, Cape Verde were leading their group. But there was a catch. With the World Cup expanding to 48 teams, only first place would let them qualify directly, and prove, once and for all, that they didn't need anyone's charity, didn't need a lucky playoff, didn't need FIFA to do them any favors. Their next game was against the one team that had beaten them, Cameroon. And then disaster. Logan Costa, their most valuable player, the most expensive Cape Verdean ever, tore his ACL. Again, desperate times, desperate measures. So they brought back another veteran, 38-year-old Stopira, not to start, but because, as Vozinha always said, their strength came from family, from one generation guiding the next. And on that day against Cameroon, with the pressure suffocating, it was a 24-year-old, ironically, Logan Costa's own cousin, who picked up the ball in midfield, beat everyone in front of him, and scored maybe the most important goal in the country's history. And then, almost poetically, after a wrongly disallowed goal in their next match delayed everything to the very last day, it was Stopira, the 38-year-old veteran they'd begged to come back, who scored the goal that sealed it. Cape Verde had qualified for the World Cup, not because FIFA expanded the tournament, not because of luck or a technicality or anyone's charity, but because they had genuinely, undeniably proven they were good enough. 50 years almost to the month after Cape Verde won its independence, this nation of scattered islands and scattered people had reached the biggest stage on Earth, on their own terms. One fan, caught up in the celebration, told reporters this was the biggest thing that had ever happened in Cape Verde. He had no idea what was coming next, because the world still doubted them. Drawn against Spain, Uruguay, and Saudi Arabia, the experts saw an easy group and a tiny island team about to be sent home. They forgot one thing. Cape Verde had spent 12 years being told no, by bigger nations, by bad luck, by FIFA itself, and every single time they had answered on the pitch. So they did it again. With Vozinha, that same rookie keeper from all those years ago, now in the form of his life, they held Spain to a draw, their defense so locked in they set a World Cup record for the fewest fouls committed in a match. Then they beat Uruguay, playing fearless, attacking football against a team that had no answer for them. 3 games, undefeated, into the knockout rounds, where the world champions now wait, and where, for the first time, nobody is brave enough to call Cape Verde the underdogs anymore. So the next time someone tells you Cape Verde at the World Cup was a miracle, a fluke, a happy accident of an expanded tournament, remember the truth. Remember the captain who held a broken team together with no kits and no money. Remember the LinkedIn message and the Google Translate. Remember the mailman, the 5th division unknowns, the brothers who refused to be separated, the 40-year-old keeper dragged out of retirement, the veteran who scored on the final day. Remember the night FIFA ripped it all away, and the 12-year revenge mission it sparked. This was never a miracle. This was a plan, a family, a revolution built by the people the football world forgot. And right now, at the 2026 World Cup, the whole planet is finally learning their name. Cape Verde, the Blue Sharks. Remember it.
Yeah, I just got to pause for a minute. So I titled this video Against All Odds. Refuse to die. It's not over until you win. It's never too late. Vozinha is 40 years old. You don't go into a goal at 40 years old. That's illegal. That's crazy. I know I'm talking to someone this morning. So the message is just don't quit. And it's never too late. It's succeeding against all odds. Yes, I know not everyone is about football, and perhaps you might find it a boring subject, but listen, the message is in the stories. This is the stories in the story. So many stories here. It's about family, persistence. It's about the what we call irrelevant, the small, the impossible becoming the possible. These group of islands, it doesn't even come up to a population of, it's not even a million. Last time I checked, it's not even 900,000. And despite all this, despite all the setbacks, the criticisms, the ridicule, the insults, the victimization, and the outright plot to push the small nation state back in the dark, yes, they rise. And so will you. That's my message this morning. Do not quit. Rest if you must, but do not quit. So I'll take a little feedback here before I feature Mr. Angel Park, our chairman, because he has a message for us also. It's about being unrelenting. So does anyone want to share anything to offer this morning?
Noel, thank you so much, CJ. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
I would just like to add
Good morning.
to the
Morning.
Cup of Verde story that this is in West Africa. This little island is in West Africa. So I wish I would make a mention of it is in Africa. That's all I have to say. Rise, West Africa.
Amen.
It is in West
Amen.
Africa. They need to mention that.
Amen.
Yes.
Of course.
It's
That's
in
right.
West
And you
Africa.
know,
They don't talk about it that it's in West Africa. It's a little island. And they
people
mention
are
the
asking
Portuguese.
me,
It's in West Africa.
That's right.
Yes.
indeed, indeed, indeed. Thank you, Valerie. Thank you, Malika. There are folks who are asking me, where is Cape Verde? Can you believe it?
Oh, yeah, they will ask. I don't blame them for asking because they don't teach geography. But where I find it disturbing is when, like, this guy is talking, he's not even. The other thing that he needs to stop saying is Cape Verde. The name has been changed to Cape Verde. It's a different spelling, but he's not even mentioning that it's in West Africa. And it sort of kind of just disturbed me. They always want to just throw whatever is happening, whatever that's good happening when it involves Africa, they have a problem saying it.
Yes.
Yeah. So just for the record, it's in West Africa, guys. Thank you, Jesus.
Yes.
Yes.
CJ?
Ode?
CJ? Ode.
Go ahead.
Did you catch the part that says not man set up, it's God set up?
Yes.
But God got planned, nobody can change it.
Of
No matter
course.
when it comes.
You do your part, God will do his part.
That's right.
My message, Ode, to all of us, myself included.
Never give up. That's the key.
Never give up. That's the key. Don't give up.
Oh, I
Though the
understand that,
road be-
CJ, and I thank you as far as the message is concerned, but I would just have to make an announcement there that this country, this little island, is a beautiful island in West Africa.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, West Africa. That's right.
Thank you, Malika. All right. Well, anyone else?
Yeah,
Hey, CJ.
KJ, go ahead, my brother.
Well, actually, somebody else. Go ahead, guy. I come back.
Okay. Thanks. This is Victor.
Hey, Victor.
You know, yeah, it's a very moving story. I love it. And if it's not inspired, your whole activity is not inspired. It's bordering inspiration. You know, when you go to church, and I don't know if any of you people go to church, and there's a message that the pastor delivers, and you say, how did he know that I needed that message so much? That was for me, Pastor. You know what I'm saying? So that message, your message this morning, Brother
Of course.
CJ, it was for me.
Yes,
You know,
yes.
and I hope other people feel like that. It was good. Don't quit. If you have to rest, rest, but never ever quit. And that's my take away from this morning's session. And that was Valerie. I don't remember who talked about where West Africa. That's true, and it occurred to me too, with all that they have been saying and all of these wonderful messages that they brought out of this experience. No one mentioned where this country is,
Yes.
and that's telling. I'm
Mhm.
glad you brought it out, ma'am. I'm very glad you brought it out, and I'm proud of our country. Go ahead.
Absolutely.
Indeed.
If it
That's
was
my take.
something negative, they would quickly tell you it's from Africa
Yes,
somewhere.
of course
Yes.
they would.
Help me, Jesus. Yeah.
So true. So true.
There are many who still don't know that Egypt is in Africa. Yeah.
So sad. So sad.
So sad. So sad. So out of obscurity. Yes, it happens. So if you are here this morning and you're saying it's too late, don't do that. And if you are thinking that it won't happen, and you might be thinking of quitting, don't quit. Rest if you must, but do not quit. Don't quit. Just do it. It's on your screen right there. Just do it. Rest if you must, but don't quit. So, my final video for the morning, I must feature our chairman because he too is about not quitting. Indulge me.
CJ, may I add something before you play the video?
Oh, yes, KJ. My apology, my brother. Please do go
No
ahead.
problem. First of all, I want to say good morning, family. Good morning, visitors. You guys been here with this family. I mean, like I said, uh, it's a beautiful thing that those of us get on the morning and we learn, we grow, we expand, right? What I've learned in my take from the video is that it makes me realize that the word family is a big deal because the coach himself recruited every parts of different players from different part of the country to come out and to see if they'd be willing to do it. And they came together, they had to speak one core, that language, and figured it out. And they understand that they are here for one purpose, is to win, right? When I look at Atomy, right, and I look at that video, it makes me realize, okay, I'm the coach because I've been here for a while, right? Same thing as each and every one that's here that's on the Zoom, you are a coach yourself. The only thing that makes you not a coach is when you're not putting the hat on and put it to work. Meaning, when you if you want to win to become to get to Imperial Master, most of us wondering how to get to that level, right? It seems so far out, but it's really simple just to get to Imperial Master. Who is the coach that's going to take us, show the team to get to Imperial Master? That's how I'm looking at it in Atomy, right? And I realize is that to find someone in people that we don't even know here in I'm here in the United States and here in Florida. One thing I've known is that people here in Florida mindset is different, and whether those want to be by themselves, do what they please, or you find a team player who wants to win. And that is what I have to figure out, to find that team player who wants to win, to become a family, who want to take it to become the Imperial Master. So that's my word on that intake from how I see it. I want to pass it back to you, CJ. And my God, CJ, Thank you for shining the light on this era for us to be realized, for us to be able to realize how can we come as a group to become a team player. We could applaud someone else, but do we want to win? That's the question. And I do want to win. And when you say keep it going, keep it doing it, yeah, it's not easy, but
Yeah.
always plant a seed for the next day. That's my take on that. Back to you, CJ.
Appreciate you, KJ. And I just want to highlight. Uh, I like to highlight a character in the story, Babista. Okay, don't forget him. Yeah, among all the shining stars, Babista had left the football field. He was in retirement, and he came out of retirement and recruited all these guys. So there are those of us, we don't have to be on the front line. There are those of us who were teachers, coaches, inspirers, whatever it is. It might just be that it's your time to recruit others and to bring them out of retirement, to find talent and to put them on stage. Stay relevant, and don't quit. May I also remind you that that guy, Colonel Saunders, he didn't hit jackpot until he was in his 80s. Yeah, he tried out recipes after recipes after recipes, and he is a story of resilience and tenacity. He never quitted. Kentucky Fried Chicken is a global company. Yeah, wherever you go, you'll find South Africa. Perhaps you'll find it over there in Cape Verde. Who knows? So stay relevant. Just don't quit. So Babista, I find his story is inspiring. And as I said moments ago, this is this rise to fame, Vazina and all these guys, it's stories inside a story. And you can take it from different angles. Just a country, considering the size of this nation state and what it has done is transformative. And it's going to endure for years to come. Okay, so let me bring on stage our chairman, and I guess that will be it for this morning. I just want to say to everyone, don't quit. When life throws you down, yeah, it's twist and it's turns, it's square, it's weird. I can't fathom it. I don't have the answers. Bad news, sad news, and it's not going to stop. Rest if you must, but do not quit.
A great card experience doesn't start with plastic. It starts.
During the past 10 years, since founding this company, I gave everything that I had into this company. These days, my lectures aren't that long. Back then, I used to be the only lecturer for the Success Academy. I gave the lecture for the new products as well. During those days, I remember sometimes becoming dizzy up here on the stage. Yeah. My week would be filled with traveling. I was on every imaginable highway, going to Busan, Daegu, Ulsan, just everywhere. I used to drive my run-down car. I'd be eating gas station sandwiches as I drove around the country. Yeah. I just didn't have any time to eat. And I I really didn't have any time for sleep either. My nose would be bleeding all the time and my eyes were always bloodshot. I was exhausted. I thought to myself that I might die keeping this up. But I knew that I still couldn't stop. I knew that even if I were to die, I couldn't stop. One day, I was giving a lecture in Jeju-do, and my nose started to bleed again. I tried to block it with tissue during the break time, but blood just kept flowing from my nose. My body was a complete mess. That's when Imperial Master Hyun-Suk Kim said, "President Park, let's just stop doing these lectures." Do you know what I said? I said I'd rather die while giving lectures. Yeah. Even if I die, the company will do well. The members would acknowledge that I had died while working hard for the company. They would have carried out my legacy, and they would have been motivated to care for their partners. Wouldn't that happen if I died while working? That's why I was okay, even if I had died while working hard. If I don't die, then I can continue to work. But people don't die that easily. Try working to the point of death. It's really hard to die from working too hard. Instead, you must set a goal for yourself so that it is okay even if you die from doing what you love to do. You should have the attitude that if you're able to save your family from poverty, then it's okay for you to die even while working. Why then do you all go into your houses so early? What's in your house that's so special that you have to be in there so often? Why do you go to your houses so frequently? You don't have to be at home that much. You seniors actually didn't go home every day, maybe once or twice a week. They ran to wherever they were needed. The leaders at the time had lost all their voices. Why? They would consult their partners even until midnight. If the partner was busy at midnight, then they would meet up with them at 1 in the morning. If the partner called again and said that they needed more consultation, then the leaders provided that consultation, even if it was at 2 in the morning. That's why they didn't even have enough time for sleep. One member said that she had gone early in the morning to the center. She wanted to do well in her business, but she noticed that there were already a few people ahead of her. The next day, she went to the center an hour early, but still there were people there before her. And finally, she went to the center even before the sun had risen, but there were still people there before her. So she asked, "What time do you people come to the center?" The people there said, "We actually don't go home." If you're going to make $50,000 to $100,000 a month, shouldn't you engage in this business with that kind of passion? If it's work that can save you and your family from poverty, shouldn't you work as if your life depended on it? Does Atomy ask you for a college diploma? Is that what we expect? Does it require you to spend tens of thousands of dollars? No, the company requires nothing of you. Just come join the business and use our products. Then all you have to do is tell others about our products. It benefits everyone because of its high quality and low price. Everyone's families will benefit by using Atomy's products. All you have to do is tell other people. And if you can't even do that, then bring those people here to the seminar. If you do that, then you will become successful. Is it really that hard? Is it really that hard? President Park, it's so difficult. That just drives me crazy. Just go out. Go and get rejected by people. Just Be humiliated even more and start from the bottom. You need to get down on all fours. And actually, these days, you won't really get rejected that often. Certainly not compared to before. And that's because most people know about our product's qualities already. You don't have to try that hard. In the beginning, people had not even heard of our products. They would say, where did these products even come from? They would rebuke the contractors for doing network marketing. These days, there are many successful people who have come out of Atomy. In the beginning, there were really only a handful of contractors. You could count the number of the contractors in the hundreds. In those days, people had very stiff necks. Why did you bring me here? They would say. Yeah, with really discontent faces. But these days, we have our seminars in nice hotel halls, and thousands of people are gathered here together. So when people gather here, they're impressed. Many people are impressed even before listening to the lectures. All of you have very good working conditions today. What do you mean? It's too difficult. Is it more difficult than living in poverty? What do you mean it doesn't fit your lifestyle? You're not built for sales? You're not built for business? Does poverty fit your lifestyle then? Are you happy? If you want to bring success to your family, you're going to have to work very hard. The number of youths and the elderly who have no jobs is only increasing. Thus, all of you must have a sense of calling, and you must have a strong resolve to be successful, even if it's just for your loved ones. I hope all of you will be successful with such commitments, and that's the end of my lecture.
Aja. Aja.
Aja.
Aja.
Aja. Aja.
Thank you, CJ.
Aja, aja, aja.
Aja, aja, aja.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Let's go.
Aja, aja, aja.
Just do it. That's all we got. Just do it.
Aja, aja, aja. Let's go.